What is blockchain technology? It's a new word, and frankly, it's a new world. All right, friends, Kris Krohn here, and what I want to do is I want to start chronicling my experience that I'm having with Bitcoin because I've gotten access to cryptocurrency in a way that I've never had it before. And I know I've shot videos before, and I shot a video and basically told you guys, listen, I don't know what to think of this stuff, but as it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, I want to share with you the experience that I'm having. I'm going to introduce you to some people, and I want to start creating awareness for you because on my channel, we talk about finance, we talk about wealth, we talk about real estate, and I want to add cryptocurrency and blockchain as a part of that. Now, recently, I paid 6 figures to join a financial mastermind that gave me access to millionaires, multimillionaires, billionaires. And as I'm spending time with these individuals, I got to know an individual that actually lives around the corner from me. He's making about $10 million a month through Bitcoin and through blockchain. And so what I want to do is I want to start helping you understand. I'm not the expert on this. But what I want to do is as I'm sharing this information, I want to share it with you because my financial mind is running wild and understanding this. And the first thing that I want to say is that the whole concept, if there's a mania inside of you, if there is a fever that is burning inside of you because you're like, oh my gosh, my buddy last year made 1,500% on his money, you got to be super, very careful and calm down a little bit because once we become optimistic of an investment and we don't have the ability to remain neutral or pessimistic, that's when we can make some poor choices. So I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to share with you some pretty insane things because my friend has opened me up to a whole new world of what's been happening and what's been building. In fact, in a little bit, I'll show you what it was like to go down to one of his blockchain facilities and see all these tiny little machines making them $400, $500 every single month. It's been mind-numbing and really mind-expanding. I think the whiteboard is going to serve me a little bit in helping you understand a couple of things. One of the things that I first came to understand, over the entire world, we have a World Wide Web. Okay, now when the internet first came out, people were very skeptical. The internet, we were putting in some personal information. People didn't want to do that. We were leery. I remember getting my first AOL and Netscape account when I was in college, and people weren't sure if this internet was going to be a real thing, and they weren't sure if it was going to stay. But what started happening after 2008 crisis is a new technology came about because we started learning that our information online, it gets hacked every single day. It gets hacked on a regular basis. It's not securitized. So people started building a very different internet. That internet is called blockchain. And instead of it being owned by any one government or organization, it is actually open source code that is currently being created all over the world by computers that are plugged in walls. And what that means, open source, is the democratization of the internet, a new internet. And what the blockchain essentially does is it has these computers. For example, I've got right here, I'm in Utah, so that's my computer. And maybe you're watching me in New York, and you might also be watching me in Mexico. And what our 3 computers are doing is they might be, if they're plugged into the blockchain for a purpose, like for example, let's call it Bitcoin. They're confirming transactions. Then what these computers are doing is we're getting paid by being plugged into the system because we're taking the extra bandwidth of our computers and we're saying, go to work. You got capacity that you're not using, you've got RAM and you've got processing ability. I'm plugging you in and because you're plugged in the wall, I'm pulling local power from where I live, and I want you computer to be plugged in, and I want you to perform computations on an algorithm that will confirm third party whether transactions are happening or not. Now, the reason why this is so amazing and so incredibly cool is because we live in a world today where we don't trust each other. This is why we have realtors that represent us to other people because we don't want to talk to the buyer or seller of a property. Or in the game of real estate, we have an escrow company that is actually, or a title company, and they're playing a middleman because me and the buyer and seller don't trust each other. How can we? We don't really know each other. Our whole world is set up with banking systems that play middlemen, and frankly, there's a lot of money, trillions of dollars that are going out to support this massive infrastructure. But imagine for a moment a different internet that was built underneath the World Wide Web, and what this internet did is it had these computers plugged in from anyone all over the world that decides to actually build out the blockchain, and the blockchain is that. In comes a transaction. I want to make a purchase of something. Let's actually call it Bitcoin. And so I'm in the process of purchasing my Bitcoin. And in doing that, that means if I'm buying it, someone else is what? Someone else is selling it. It's the economy that we live in. So there's a trade and exchange happening. But instead of using a third party, our computers have the ability to have a minimum of 3 confirm at any given moment that the transaction is happening. So I'm sitting down with my friend making $10 million a month. He really likes me. He's heard of the good I'm doing in the world. He's heard about me from all his buddies. He's like, I can't believe we haven't crossed paths. And he says, give me your phone. He says, download this wallet, okay? And then he said, here's what I'm gonna do. And then boom, he sent me $200 of Bitcoin. I became an owner of Bitcoin for the first time in my life. And here's what he wanted to prove. We didn't talk to any banks. We didn't talk to any third-party transactions. Right then and there, he just sent me money and we got rid of the middleman. What happens if we live in a world that is transforming, where we can eliminate the middlemen that have these massive parts of the economy, and we can start trusting each other because we have these open source computers that are essentially double checking and ensuring that all of this information is happening and being kept private and secret. Friends, that's on a very basic level what the blockchain is. Now, the blockchain can be used in so many different ways. It can replace title companies. It can replace a number of ways that business are done. It just so happens right now that one of the popular uses for it is money. And I know a lot of people are like, this is crazy, Kris. What do you mean, like digital money? Like you're trying to compete with governments and you're trying to compete with dollars? And that's exactly what we're doing. And I'm going to share more with you in the next video, and then I'm going to take you out to this. I'm going to take you out to this facility and actually show you what the facility. It's pretty loud, but it's wild when you actually wrap your mind around it. And I'll show you how he makes $10 million a month. Stay tuned, my friends. The world is changing rapidly, and we're either gonna evolve or die with it. For me, I'm gonna evolve with it. Real estate is always gonna be one of my core investments, but frankly, I've got a very diversified approach and strategy. In fact, you can click my website and come over and get live with me at one of my events where we can train you on money and what money is and how money actually works. It's gonna be a life-changing experience for you because all of my events are life-changing. You will never be the same again. And make sure that you are subscribed so I can keep giving you some of the other updates, because right now I am head over heels diving in super deep, tearing deep into this conversation of blockchain, cryptocurrency, and how to maximize my taking advantage of it, even if I'm only using a small part of my portfolio for it.